Welcome back to Barefoot Talks. I'm Stephanie Papas and you're listening to episode 3 where I got to sit down with Ash Grunwald and Danni Carr, his wife from Earth Bottles. This was one of those chats where I could have continued talking for hours, so I really do hope that I get to sit with them both again because there's so much wisdom in this talk. Ash has been part of the Australian blues roots scene for decades now, and his intention in this time of his life is to be an elder in the music industry or even as an artist, and I really feel he is embodying that. There's a lot of wisdom in this talk. So I really hope you enjoy episode 3 of Barefoot Talks.
Go back and morning, take it all back. Take it all back. Take it all back. Take it all back.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's amazing, like how simple, the word meditation, a lot of us are boycotting or afraid of, but just that simple, taking that time to be present and connect with the breath that runs us and gives us energy all day can be such a simple tool.
Yeah, I really like the idea of, I was suggesting it to somebody the other day. I try and do this one where you just stop, and you do the meditation of 1 second. You just stop before you start. So try and stop your thoughts for 1 second and then go on to the next thing instead of having an endless stream of thoughts. Can be a good one.
Or being present with that thought. Yeah. So you don't escape it. So let's start. Ash, I love to ask this question to start off with. Who is Ash Grunwald? In any definition.
Yeah, you should ask Danni. That's the hardest one of all to answer. I don't know. How do you define yourself? It's a lot more than just your career. I think that for sure. So interesting. We were talking about my podcast before we started, and John Butler's wise words in the first one, and how he was talking a lot about manhood and the importance of becoming an elder. And for me, in the last little while, because I'm 42 now, and coming through sort of those inevitable midlife crisis-y kind of vibes, I am starting to really feel a strong sense that who I am or who I need to be or who I should aspire to be is the best possible person that I can, and be an elder.
Yes.
And gather some wisdom and be able to transfer that through everything that I do. And so that's giving me a lot more definition. And I had a little session of sort of meditation the other day, and I was really thinking a lot about it. And Danni's going through some things with her dad with cancer at the moment and stuff. And I was really just thinking so strongly, like, I really need to be a strong man and for Danni. And so a lot of those kind of things that sort of seem like in the past I was like, it sounds like a cliche, but when you really stop and think about it, it's like, is that my ongoing agenda, to really be there and be strong and be present and be the support to the family and to everybody and to Danni? And so I started to think more about that, and it feels like it's sort of given my life a bit more definition.
Beautiful. How would you describe Ash Grunwald?
No, Ash is super kind. He's a very kind person. Smart. He's very smart. Very considerate. He's good. Good daddy. Good husband. Good friend. He's my best friend.
That's beautiful.
And we are lucky enough to be on a spiritual journey together. And we sort of seem to be on the same trajectory all the time. We've been together for 17 years and still like him. He's
still best friends.
And
mostly. Sometimes not.
And
but
also
mostly.
we're on the same path party-wise.
Yeah, we both quit
Tell
drinking.
us about the party-wise, yeah.
Well, we like to party. A little too much. And then we decided, with some other friends that are musicians, it was actually my best friend's idea, to quit drinking for a year and then to see how we all felt at the end of the year and it was just amazing. And it was 18 months ago now.
I was going to say, was this just this year or was this incredible?
No, and we were living in Bali at the time. But it's, oh my gosh, it just transformed our whole lives. I mean, and I'm not talking, we weren't like get up in the morning and start drinking or, that kind of crazy. But, we definitely like to give it a nudge. But it was just, when it started off a little boring, I guess. But then once you get through the boredom and figure that out, you kind of just left with yourself, to sit with yourself and your partner and get to know yourself and your partner on that level, and so much more meaningful.
As a clear channel.
But also your interactions with friends and other people, the interactions are so much more meaningful, and we just feel so filled up all the time from everyone that we meet and our friends and each other. It's been amazing.
It's a really interesting point, because I also don't drink alcohol, but it's been a very long period now, and often people say, were you an alcoholic? Because it's like, why did you make that decision?
Were you?
No, I wasn't. Thank you for actually that's never come up in the podcast. No, I wasn't. It's just a decision of being conscious, even though that word is used so easily and thrown around, but having a conversation with the whole of me as much as I can, with a lot of the wounds involved.
Yes. You get to dig through all the stuff.
Yeah, and then I can face it, aware, and go, okay, I didn't like that bit, need to move that over. Look at that.
I actually found too, I don't know about you, but I had used alcohol as a social crutch often, and then not having that, but realising, actually, I think I thought I was pretty shit, before, but then getting to know myself and thinking, no, I'm actually not shit. I've got a lot to offer and I'm a good person, and I've got to really like myself, and you're the same. It's interesting how you just, oh God, it was just the best thing we ever did, and we won't go back. And a few of our friends who started as well, they're the same. They're not going back either.
Because I was chatting to Callie Dad last podcast, and Jason was talking about the music industry and drinking backstage, and when they're on tour constantly, how it can become a lot of alcohol they're consuming, and he has a choice to not drink at such a young age on tour. And so what's your opinion of the music industry and being able to tour without drinking?
My opinion is that if you make the choice to not drink, it's super easy. And I thought it was super hard. It's super easy. I don't have any problems at all with that. Whereas before I made the decision, I thought it was super hard. And Danni used to say to me sometimes, why don't you try drinking just 4 drinks at a gig? And I found 4 drinks frustrating because I was chasing something. I was chasing a feeling. I had to reach critical mass before I went on stage. And it wasn't like messy. Sometimes it was. If like I went out for dinner and I did this and I drank at soundcheck and whatever, it was probably a bit messier than it should have been. But most times it wasn't like that. It was just reaching this level. And it was all pointless. It was like it was part of my ritual, and it made me feel ready to take the stage, that I was out of my normal, boring, sober reality and more in a relaxed kind of anything goes kind of thing, which you need to be in to perform your best work. But I can get into that much better by choosing my state with my mind. And we've had so many discoveries in the last 18 months, but that's been one that, you can consciously choose different states to be in at different times and really focus and
the confidence you got more confident in yourself. Yeah. So then that
loads more confident. Yeah. Because I used to feel like we've had a really great run, great life, and I got a great family and a great wife, and career was great and everything was good, and I was pretty healthy actually. And I used to always think, oh yeah, but there's just that, everything's perfect, just that alcohol thing. It just used to annoy me. And before that, it was cigarette smoking as well, way back in the day, and But I just feel like it is easy to not in the music industry. But when I started out, I just thought that's what you needed to do, and that's what it was all about. And that's what it was about for me. Like, if somebody, I would drink at every single gig from the first time I ever played. I'd smoke cigarettes. It was all smoking in pubs and stuff so I'd always smoke cigarettes. And then after a while, when I got healthier, it was only when I played music that I smoked cigarettes. And if anybody offered me a joint, and this when I was doing like 3-set gigs and stuff, I'd go out for a joint and then I'd come back just blasted to and think my guitar was out of tune and this and that. So it was always about debauchery. And then my hero, rest in peace, my hero, Chris Wilson, was a massive hero to me. All my heroes, really, and all my old blues heroes, and everybody was a big drinker, really. So I remember Chris going at the Dan O'Connell, where we met, and we both had residencies at the Dan O'Connell.
Okay.
I remember supporting Chris at the Dan O'Connell. It's a pub in Melbourne, and he got up. He's a big fella. Walked behind the bar, grabbed. I remember it as a pint glass. Maybe it wasn't. Filled it up, half filled with Bundy. Poured a little bit of Coke in there, and then off he went, kind of thing. And then to me, that's how it all was. And all my heroes, Hendrix, and everybody. So I thought that was how it had to be, but it really.
But it gets to you in the end, and I think before
Yeah.
the year, just leading up to when we decided to stop, you weren't in a great space. Started to get a lot of darkness with it as well, because you're drinking on the road, you're drinking when you get home. Because I'm like, let's go have a few drinks, whatever, and you don't get a break.
It's really interesting that you said that, the darkness.
Yeah,
Because you
big
pick
time.
up, the energies and,
Yeah, and then there's self-esteem and all this stuff that was sort of...
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like it leveled
Speaking
me
of
up.
you.
I know.
Sorry, no, you're totally right. I feel like it just really leveled me out in a bad way. Like, just takes away all the
negative
highs.
thought patterns and things like that.
Yeah.
But when you stopped, and within like 3 months, we started to... I was like, we need to start getting more positive and getting more, and
being aware of your thoughts.
things started to manifest. Like, things started to open up for Ash again, and like signing a record deal and all this stuff happening, and just stuff was like amazing things were happening.
Yeah.
And I think it was due to him being more confident in himself and feeling whole again.
Well, I have.
Can I say that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have two angles that's coming up from what we're talking about, because I think it's really interesting, because you are an elder in the music industry, and you have been playing for decades now, isn't it?
Yeah.
On the road, touring, and as you're saying, in that mindset. So it feels like now, how do you, being more present and not having the alcohol as a crutch, how are your performances changing, and how are you connecting with the audiences in a different way?
Well, ironically enough, it feels more like when I first started, when everything was really exciting and you're just having just maybe 1 or 2 drinks and you're really excited. And I think I misattributed some of the party that I needed to be joining in the party like everybody else out there was, but they're getting off their heads half the time,
Yeah.
So I feel like my energy levels are a whole lot higher on stage, and I just feel like I project more happiness and love, and that's what and when I do that, I remember that I naturally was like that, but it just like, it's a long road, this music thing, so it ground down, especially when I had a period when I was playing to less people than I had been before. It was tough, so you're sort of just trying to get through,
You drink to sort of
Yeah.
get out of that, and it's...
And do you find now you're receiving more from the audience? Like you're able to actually say, I'm worthy now to receive that love back?
Yeah, I think so, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, it's just a really good thing. I mean, Danni was really good. She so there was this manifesting thing. It was really, really powerful. We were driving in Denmark, WA,
Yep.
to the Denmark Civic Centre or something. And it was a small gig to about 100 people, and so it was like there's not the numbers I might be used to. So and then Danny's like, now when you get to the gig, don't be trying to convince. You're always trying to convince everybody that you're going downhill or something. And it was like I was a reverse politician.
He's always be like, oh, there's only 100 people there tonight, or the sound was shit, or I didn't sing very well. I'm like, oh, enough. I don't want to hear anymore.
No more negative.
Because the gig we were at the night before, it was, it was it was an amazing gig, and everyone was dancing who was there, but he's more concerned about the numbers or where he, fluffed up a few notes in one of the, and I'm like, enough. Like, from now on, all I want to hear is that even if you connected with one person in that audience, that's all I want to hear about. I don't ever want to hear again anything negative about the gigs, and start projecting that. And things started to change then, didn't it?
Yeah, but it's a really interesting thing about the subconscious thing that you got going in me, which was really good, which was that...
I love the dynamic between the two of you. It really is a queen behind a king, and it's beautiful. Sorry, go on.
So in that little speech, which I think is the turnaround for me, Danni was saying like, oh, you should, tell people the positives of the gig. Don't tell them the negatives. You're choosing the negative of like, there's always positives in gigs, especially if you're decent at what you do.
And it's not bullshitting.
But it's not bullshitting.
Where's your attention?
Why are you selecting the negative? So I said, okay, I'll do that. And, I'll tell. And then that gig was epic.
It was so good.
It was a great gig. It felt exultant. It was like, woo!
Yeah.
And most gigs since then have been like that.
And you're more grateful too for the,
I was gonna say,
because I never want to. This is why I became negative, because I never want to bullshit. If things are going worse, I will tell you they're going worse. But
that's vulnerability. But it really is. Attention goes where energy flows, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought was being honest. And I think subconsciously, I was always pinching myself with my career. I started playing blues, in the late 90s. Like, I never thought that I would have a song on Triple J or play a young people festival or anything like that. So I think subconsciously, I didn't really think that, it was... I just felt lucky the whole time. So then, 15 years down the track, if numbers go down or whatever, I'm sort of thinking, okay, well, this is the time for this, I don't know. I was just selling that negative of like, I'm on my way down now kind of thing.
It's like you wanted to, and particularly when things were really at a peak with his career, I'd hear and talk to my friends or my parent or anyone. It's like, you couldn't help yourself. You just start finding something. Oh no, it's, oh God, yeah.
Because you don't want to feel, I think that this has come up in my podcast with other performers as well. Like, you don't really want to feel like you're boasting. Or like, say, the other thing is...
Ego-driven.
Ego, and you sort of like, you have a room of people that have all come to see you, especially if you're playing solo. And then you don't want to be like, oh, yeah, that was, so you think, okay, I'll be humble. And then you say to yourself, okay, what's the next thing? Okay, I'm just going to get, like how Tom Waits says, get behind the mule in the morning and plough. Yeah. I'm just, okay, what's the next thing? The Aussie workmanly thing. Not going to focus on that. And then what happens is, though, you're not thankful, really. So you think you're being humble, but you're actually sort of just downgrading the experience. So that was we were just listening to the podcast with Kim Churchill that I did, and he had a lot of good things to say about gratitude.
Yes.
And it doesn't really matter about the size of the audience. You can have ingratitude at any size of audience and gratitude at any size of audience.
Yep.
So those kind of things. When I turned that thing around, I think it was, I can't do a bad gig now. No. I'd have to have, something bad happen just before the gig or something to have a bad gig. I feel in a positive frame of mind whenever I do a gig now, and it's just great.
So different.
Beautiful.
So different. Yeah, amazing.
Wow. We're going like, okay.
Was it where you thought it was?
No, I love it. I love it.
That's a good sign.
That's why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Do you have a spirit? I know that you're into the Wim Hof breath.
Yeah.
Spiritual practice while you're on tour to keep you grounded and what we're saying, connected in the moment and with your gratitude. And
Yep. Well, I have a little list of things that I like to do.
Yep.
And I think it's really cool. And I just write in my little journal book, I like grat, and I'll tick if I did my gratitudes. I ams, which is one Danni got us into, which is really good. Danni gets their kids doing gratitudes before bed, which is
You got
actually,
two girls?
Two girls.
Yeah.
Girls, yeah.
Nice.
That's really cool. We're really both into our gratitudes.
Give me an I am now. Like I am.
You do.
You get so embarrassed.
Come on, Ash.
No, because I'm very
No, come on, Ash.
so embarrassed.
Do it.
No, I
Okay.
do things about, like, I'm working really hard on my music right now. So I'm not going to tell you my I ams because it's too embarrassing, because maybe I haven't changed that
Please,
much.
Do it. Come on.
No, because
Okay.
because well, okay,
Yeah,
I am
worthy.
grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah.
But I'm not telling you my secret ones because they're all
Oh.
about being a shredder and being really good at stuff, and I don't want to
You're
say
not
that.
telling me the gig secret I ams, right?
The reason I don't
Pre-gig.
want to is because I
Yeah.
feel it. Dripping, shredding guitar is the best thing since sliced bread. You know, they're really quite aspirational because I feel the
All right,
reason
we'll let it go.
the reason I feel guilty is because I'm Australian.
Oh, okay.
And tall poppy syndrome, and I don't want to sound like a wanker.
You couldn't sound like a wanker.
But the other thing is, the reason they're far away from necessarily where I am right now is I really like that in an I am. Like if I say if I write I am a phenomenal blues guitarist, something like that. Like my idea of where that would be might be a bit further than the reality, or it might not, but it's something that can be taken in a few different ways, but it makes you feel like you're already there. And if you make your subconscious feel like you're
Exactly.
already there,
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to do to
Yeah.
manifest stuff. So you can, feeling like you're already there at the same time that you're working really hard to achieve something is really quite a formula for
Yes.
making that happen. So that's what I like about those I ams.
So we're on the spiritual practice. So you've got the I ams, the gratitude.
I really
Yeah.
do get into that Wim Hof thing. I know
Yeah.
I go on about it a lot. I did it last night again, and I was saying to Danni this morning, it really...
Have you got the ice bath in the house?
No. I'm really bad with
A
cold
friend
too.
of mine in Byron has the ice bath in
Yeah.
the backyard. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get one. But for me, the breathing I love, and it really makes me... we've speculated that Danni doesn't really like the Wim Hof stuff, and I tried to get a yoga teacher, yin yoga teacher, to mix yin yoga with Wim Hof stuff. She was new to it. She didn't like it either. She felt it was engaging the fight or flight stuff too much for her. But we have a theory. Sometimes, like, some blokes are more into the Wim Hof thing than ladies. But I was just saying,
I've got some girlfriends though that are into it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably more dudes though. But anyway, like,
I don't, but I know a lot of women and men that are in it.
mm,
For my makeup, it's not right for me at this moment. I'm too sensitive. But the people that are doing it, it has changed their lives. So I know that there's some real value in it, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just ultra sensitive, and I think I'm doing a lot to keep me grounded and present. You know?
that's the
So,
same for you,
yeah.
isn't it, Dan?
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
I think if what my little theory about that is, if the fight or flight, because you start with the intense breathing,
Yeah.
and then after 40 breaths or so, you do a long out hold,
Yeah.
and that's getting into the parasympathetic nervous system, which
yeah.
is that's what you're looking for the relaxation and all that. But you have to have that other side to work up to it, and that's what some people don't like. They feel nervous while they're doing it. Like Danni hates that intense breathing, but I think it's because there's something linked to the breath that maybe she has to look at. I don't know.
Breathing exercise.
Yeah, having, when you're in a relationship, I think that one of the things I've learned is let people go on their own journey. Because I used to always think everything that I do, I want him to do it as well. But actually, I think we're all, I don't know what the word I'm trying to say, built differently. And I think, I'm too sensitive to do it. More grounded men that are earthy can do the Wim Hof,
It
and
is
hold
earthy.
it. Yeah, it's really earthy. And you've got to be that kind of kapha in the Ayurvedic, really grounded, kind of, whereas I'm more vata,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because
I
that's
can
what I was
tell,
saying to Danni. Like, because I did it last night, it reminded me, when I did it, I was just upstairs at a pub, and I'm doing the Wim Hof thing, and it reminded me of the enormity of creation and of big stuff, like mountains, glaciers, big waves, that big raw power. That's what it reminded me of. That, and you feel that feeling. It goes through your blood. bloodstream and everything through your whole body.
You would love it, Alex.
Yeah. And so that's why it really sucks the dudes in, because you're like, you know, you love it.
Have you met him?
No.
Okay,
no.
because he's
I love his shtick, you know, and I really like that, you know, Wim Hof, he sort of comes across as really crazy, and especially with his accent, like he just doesn't give a shit what people think. I just love it.
I loved his documentary.
Yeah, he's really great.
I find even if he's doing the breathing in a room, I've got to walk straight out. It really triggers something in me. I don't know. I'm like totally fine with him doing it. That's fine. But if I walk in the room, I'm like, ugh, and I'm out.
I stayed with someone up in Byron, and they did it every morning, and they had the ice bath.
And did you find it?
They said, "Come on, let's do it." And I'm like, "No, I can't. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go meditate and do my beach walk." But that's okay, because we're all able to do our journey in our own ways, you know.
And Danni loves to do a beach walk every morning and meditate.
Me too. That's me, Danni. See?
Take
my shoes off and get in the water. Yeah.
How about some of your trippy meditation? Danni gets really deep with her meditation.
Come on, Danni.
Sorry, you asked the question.
The podcast is now over to Ash. Go ahead. No, that's all right. What is your...
you have some really
Can you tell us a bit about your meditation practice, Danni?
Okay. Well, I haven't been meditating for very long. I used to find it really aggravating. I just kind of get angry. And I found it really challenging. But I started doing maybe like 1 minute. And my sister's a big meditator. She does transcendental meditation. So she gave me some tips. And then just through yoga practice and whatnot, just started and got more heavily into it. But I don't know if this sounds wacky, full on connect with my ancestors.
Yeah.
When
it's not wacky. That's
like full conversations, you know, talking to like spirit and really get into it and really feel like the love and really sort of meditate on that. And it's really strong for me. And so I tend to want to walk on the beach every day and then I have a meditate and a bit of a walking meditation as well and get to the end where I'm going and, you know, if time allows. So
where is home for the two of you?
It's just up near Byron Bay, but just north. So we're kind of like Brunswick Heads, Ocean Shores, down on the beach there.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good. We've been living in Bali for 3.5 years. So that was a great place too to sort of quit drinking, start meditating. You know, it was amazing. It was so amazing. The people there. Oh,
I have not been to Bali.
What?
And I've worked with Bali Spirit Fest and Byron Spirit Fest.
The Bali Spirit Fest is amazing.
I know. I bring all anyway. We're not going to talk about that on the podcast.
But just the people there, and then like if you're there for say Nyepi Day, where it's all the local people come together and it celebrates 3 days, they're just constantly meditating, praying, meditate, pray. And there's just something in the air.
High vibrations.
Oh my gosh. If you either like it or you hate it there, but you can tune into something there and there's different stuff going on there in a major way. They're so spiritual, the Balinese people. It was so good. It was.
I just noticed there's cheap flights at the moment. I was like,
over there.
I want to go. I have so many things to talk to you about. I'm like bursting. It's coming through me. So many things to ask you. Let's just get on to this tour that we're on right now because I think that's current. And tell me about how Earth Bottles. I mean, there's so many things I want to ask you. Maybe we'll do another chat another time.
Yeah.
But
do a mini series.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me about this tour.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this tour, in Bali, we've been working and putting money towards from the sale of Earth Bottles, doing beach cleans there and educating local kids and our little local village on plastics, single-use plastics. And so we wanted to kind of extend that kind of thing out here. I don't know how the idea came about,
I thought you came up with that idea.
Yeah, but I don't know how. But anyway.
Through a beach walk.
Yes.
But with Paul, because the good thing about Earth Bottles, like briefly about Earth Bottles, it's something that started off, Danni, we were in Canada touring and we were in the tourist bureau there and we saw these cool water bottles and then Danni saw them and she's like, you should do them for merch, and we did them for merch and then we thought, you know, we could make a company out of this. And
yeah, it sort of expanded from there. But anyway,
it was years ago, but it's sort of expanded into this really Really good
the whole thing with Earth Bottles is, and it's sort of evolved into this too. Like, you know, you meet people as you go, you learn more. It's all just sort of happens and expands, and things present themselves. But we just wanted to continue on this work of trying to educate people on the single-use plastics. And then the best way we've found is you do a beach cleanup, you have all your stuff spread out there, you start collecting people, you know, sticky nose and come and have a look. And then we've got our friend Paul who's come along, and he's coordinating all the beach cleanups. So we wanted to do, so Ash would be doing the shows, and then we'd be doing a beach cleanup before, after, and just try and marry the two together with some local, different community groups. And it was just an excuse that we could both go on the road together and take the kids, though they're not here this weekend. And just to try to keep spreading that message, and that's what it's about. That's what,
Beautiful concept.
Yeah,
and it gives purpose to what why you're out there on the road.
We were saying this yesterday in the car, because also someone asked him to do some stuff with some kids, and it's like about mentoring. We're saying you have to give back. You can't make the music career or any career, anything in life, just take. You got to, and it's got to become more than just you. And we were saying that. So you play your gig, and that's all well and good, and me, and photos of me, whatever. But it's got to go beyond that, and you've got to give back and give money and give all this. It's about giving.
That helps you sustain it, doesn't it? Because then
it's got to have some
energetically,
more purpose.
Purpose.
Which is before, you know, when it's partying and it's all me. It's a very different vibe, and I think this gives it more wholesome. Energetically, it's much, I don't know, nicer, isn't it?
And with one caveat, when we say this stuff, I mean, I've always done activism stuff, and we've sort of always been on this path, but the emphasis, I feel it's accurate to say that the emphasis changes when it was the distracting thing, I think, when we were partying. It's like, I party, but I am helping out with CSG, and I am doing this and I am doing that, but it just takes all of those anchors off a little bit.
It gives it more purpose.
Yeah, it does allow you.
When you're living it and experiencing it, you can talk it with, walk the talk.
And I would say that's for anyone listening, if they struggle with any sort of depression or anxiety or whatever, if you're giving to other people, and if you are doing things for a higher purpose, and it doesn't matter what that higher purpose is, you should think about there's a great selfish reward in that you get a break from yourself. It's not natural to just be thinking about yourself the whole time. We never evolved doing that, but now we do it all the time. And it makes us unhappy.
Yeah, the huge depression, it's such big statistics is what I'm trying to say. And yet it's about the focus inward. And if we actually just change that and put the focus outwards, even if they volunteer or anything, or just go and help an elderly on a road every day, make yourself giving an act of kindness, the depression transcends.
Or if you set your daily intention to help someone, whether it's, like you said, an elderly person. A friend of mine, her son's been depressed and whatever, and we talked about it. She's like, I don't know what to do, and I'm quite close with her son. I'm like, get him to do service, like find out some local volunteer groups, anything that he can do. And it's helped hugely already. So
beautiful,
you just,
are involved in music and just an expression. Did you want to say something? Sorry.
Yeah, I just feel like people are, it probably is repeating. You go.
Go.
Oh, we're just a little obsessed with ourselves, and we didn't. If you're going to be obsessed with yourself, just be obsessed with being the best person you can be. If you're obsessed with, I'm worried because I'm not doing enough for other people, that's a good obsession to have. If it's like that, I feel like it takes all of the spotlight off yourself. And once the spotlight's off, you can breathe a little bit. You're actually giving yourself, by focusing on being the best person that you can be, you're actually giving yourself a bit of a break.
The spotlight's off yourself.
You take the spotlight off yourself and just think about others, and it's a recipe for happiness, I think.
It feels amazing. It's so good.
It does, because we're all connected. There's an energy exchange, and if you take that energy off yourself, you realise I'm not just a one wave in the ocean. I'm part of the ocean. Yeah. Have you always seen your music as a vessel to share a message? Like, the elections. We're not going to go into it, but whenever we listen to this podcast, in our time now, it was last night decided Liberals. Yeah. So you're working hard at sharing a lot of messages. Do you find that music is a powerful way to get the message out there?
Yeah, I grew up listening to stuff like that. Like, I knew about the horrors of war from listening to Only 19 by Red Gum. Okay. And my parents would play a lot of music like that to me, and it's always been really important to me to have a lot of meaning in what I say. And especially when I was doing a lot of stuff against CSG, my last album from quite a while ago, 5 years ago now, was full of songs like "The Worst Crimes Are Legal," which I still believe. I'm happy with that title. But mainly from the start, my music has actually had themes like what we're discussing right now. Yep. Like, there was one song called "Give Something Away," which is a bit like what we're talking about. But what I've tried to do is do simple blues songs which have this kind of... and I've never really had the right way of saying it, but I think it's just like sort of everyday wisdom, things that can help you in your life. That's sort of that's always been my obsession and what I wanted to get through in my music. And now that I'm living it a bit more, then I can look back over some old songs and play them live with a bit more new meaning and new intention to it. And it makes me happy about some of the songs that I've written in the past. And they're often the simplest ones.
You just lit up when you said that. You absolutely just lit up. It's like you've reached that pocket now.
Yeah, it's a good pocket to,
Yeah.
Life starts at 40.
I know. I'm past 40 now. I know.
But I actually feel like we are doing that cliche thing. Like, we both have sort of like hit our thing in our 40s more. And it does feel good to be on that path. But there's so many things that can help. And like, it's really exciting at the moment, like people doing what you're doing, and, like podcasts, YouTube, all these different things where people are sharing a lot of wisdom, and there's just so much out there at the moment. So much cause for optimism. That's why I'm not worried about the election. I just think there's so much work to be done. And I was just interviewing, I just did a book, and this isn't a segue, but
no, yeah.
But I was interviewing Jack Johnson, who has, for his foundation, that his wife and he set up, they've given $30 million away.
Incredible, isn't it?
Connecting with things like what we're doing like today, like little different groups and whatever. They can come to his gigs and they'll match dollar for dollar different foundations and stuff, and they're lighting these little spot fires all around the place of change. And his whole thing is, he seems to not get bogged down in the politics of it. To me, he seemed like that, and the negativity of it. Yeah. He was saying, politicians need to be led. They will respond to what we show them we want. They want votes. So, and I was like, wow, because I was all stuck in, oh man, it's a corporatocracy. It's totally corrupt, blah, blah, blah. But, I just thought there was a lot of wisdom and optimism in that. And I could see how he can drive forward into his life, and he's not encumbered by the negativity.
Yes.
He can keep on.
Yes.
Because if you're going to make it permanent and you're going to keep making positive change, you have to be enjoying yourself along the way.
Yeah.
And staying in that vibration.
Yeah. Well, even Paul, who we're travelling with this morning, I'm sure he won't mind me sharing, but he's like, well, how are you this morning? And he's like, I'm really deflated. I'm like, why? He said, because of the election or whatever. And I'm like, be happy that you're alive. Life's good.
Yeah, I answered the same thing when someone said that this morning. I said, look at the sunrise.
Yeah.
Hear the birds.
You can't get bogged down in that, because there's I'm not trying to be shallow or naive or anything like that, but I've never been in one to sit around, moping about stuff like that. I like
one aspect
look
about
at the
universe,
positive, and there's always something to be positive about. And that's part of the gratitude practice. You can't, I don't know, I think it's not great. It's not a great situation, but there's always something good to come out of a bad situation.
It's fear-focused.
Yeah.
And the more we stay in that high vibration and focusing on the path of love, joy, all those vibrations, it's not affecting us. I think that's...
Yes.
We'll see. That's what I feel.
You just need to be like
It wasn't a
freight
surprise,
train.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that wasn't. It's regrettable, but you just need to sort of keep on charging forward. And I did feel good having my vote, but then I did have half a thought, and I thought I won't say the negative thing, but I was thinking about Russell Brand, thinking this system doesn't work anyway. I feel great that I'm having my vote, but that's just to make me feel good. Corporations run the whole place
Exactly,
anyway.
yeah.
So when I don't get the result I'm after, then I can just go back to, it's a corporatocracy anyway. Let's just keep trying to make the positive changes we can make.
Yeah. And so this book you wrote, Surf by Day, Jam by Night, a great title. And, Kelly Slater, Jack Johnson, Ziggy Alberts.
Ziggy wasn't in it.
Okay.
He was too young. He didn't make the cut. No, I just, the reason was I was approached to write a book. So we had a little brainstorm, and I wanted to sort of go for, something I viewed myself an expert in, and it's,
because we haven't touched on that. Surfing is a big part of your meditation.
It's a massive part of but all I have in surfing is passion. And I'm not some massive shredder or some amazing surfer, but I'm good at, I'm really, really gifted at following my passions. And Danni will attest to that. I am the good times guy. That's why I was the party guy.
Lifestyle.
I am a gifted, I think I wrote in the book, I don't know if it made the cut, but I'm a lifestyle scientist. So even to the point where, it's just so amazing how it all turned out that I started out loving music and loving surfing, but I was from Melbourne. I didn't even, we're from Melbourne.
I lived in Melbourne. And,
And, to go 15 years down the track, I've surfed all over the world and been on 10 or so boat trips, and a lot of my friends are pro surfers, and then I'm there in Kelly Slater's kitchen.
Oh, amazing manifester.
Speaking of manifesting, playing the guitar that Ben Harper gave him while he gets his shit together in the morning. So it just worked out. But so that's what I thought.
It just worked out.
I'm uniquely placed to write a book about surfing and music and that intersection, because that's something that I've lived my life based around. That's why I decided to interview all these people that I respected in that field, and then after that, during that time, I was undergoing the changes that we're talking about, because it started at the start of 2018 when we quit drinking. That's when I started writing the book. So that and the manifesting and stuff, that's a subtext of the book. And by the end of the book, I'm just asking people all about these things. Yeah. It was so cool. I went there and asked Steph Gilmore about manifesting. And she's like, hell yeah, I do it all the time. And, that's what I use to focus. And so does Callie. And, then she goes and wins another world title after that.
Because they must have their intention and their vision to be able to create that. And that's, I guess, where I want to get to, how we can inspire the youth through these kind of chats and talks is, what was your childhood like to, we're not going to go into the history of your childhood, but where did you get that gift of the knowingness that you could create this path for you to walk upon?
I come from a really great family of manifestors in that way. Yeah. It's just like like my dad, he came from South Africa. Okay. And he's like I won't go too far into this, but I'll give you the quick version. So he's the only... they moved to a very Anglo area, and he's like the only brown guy in the 70s within a 200k radius, probably, him and his brothers. And then he got a girl pregnant, my mum, at school. They're probably shagging in the library. And they had me. They got married at he was 17, she was 16. Beautiful. And then they're still together. They went on to have 5 more kids. And my dad was a soccer star kind of thing. well, and he had to give that dream up a little bit because of me coming along.
Yeah.
And but all my family and stuff, they have a religion of soccer, really,
Yeah.
and
And
everybody
self-belief.
and self-belief, and they all
Confidence.
played for Victoria. My younger brother played for Australia and in the under-18s and stuff. So everybody
Big
knows
practice.
they're really big on practicing, and so I went from sort of average at soccer to getting good skills at soccer from practicing, and music was just my passion, and I'd always sort of put it aside, and then so I knew how to get good at stuff, and I knew the secret that I try and tell kids and stuff whenever I do workshops and stuff. It's a really easy secret to getting as good as you want at anything, and practice for. This is what I say to kids.
Yeah.
Like, you can practice for 5 minutes a day, concentrate all your being on the thing that you're not good at, and say if it's on a musical instrument, and then for the rest of the hour that you might be practicing or whatever, just have fun, but really direct and work really hard for little blocks of 5 minutes, because that's all you can really give your all
I love that.
and concentrate. 5 minutes. And things like that. If you just keep working at your passions, and that comes naturally to me to get obsessed, and it comes naturally to me to work really hard when I'm obsessed. So that's probably what's helped me to manifest things. Like, once I got into surfing, I just couldn't stop. Frost, just surf, and went from not being able to surf. When I first started touring, I would be coming up the East Coast, and I'd surf all the time, and there'd be little kids. I'd be on the end of the lineup, and I'd be paddling for one little skerrick of a wave, and there'd be, "Oi!" I'd hear, and a little kid would get the wave. And, now I'm not some ripping surfer, but I've surfed some solid waves that give you good big hold downs and stuff like that. So, it's been an interesting journey.
I love this chat, and I think we've got to come to an end because of you playing tonight at the Rhythm Hut. But I have so many more things I'd love to talk to you about, so maybe we'll cross paths again and be able to chat. Yeah. We'll do the interview over food.
Yes.
How would you, talking to the youth or a parent, I don't know who you want to direct the conversation to, but because you're following your passion, it feels like you're on path, both of you, completely on path, changing, constantly moving, you're not getting stuck. So how do we get to that point as a parent to our children?
But I would say that my message is the same for adults and kids.
Yes.
And if you're 40, I get frustrated with my kids sometimes because I say, you've got so much potential, you've got your whole life ahead of you. But so do I have my whole life ahead of me. And so does my dad. But everybody needs to realize you've got your whole life ahead of you. And, what you do every day is what's going to dictate how your life unfolds.
Yes.
So use your mind to think about what you want to achieve in your life. And there's so many options. There's probably 5 different areas. And set about breaking it down to everyday things and just happily cruise away on those everyday things and tick in every area, every day. Tick little things off and just know that you're having a little win today, even if it was really hard, that little thing that you're working on,
Gratitude.
is coming, it's bearing fruits, but you're working away at things. And just don't let life just happen to you. And for the adults, it's like, don't just come home and just like sink too many beers or just don't come home and have nothing and just watch Netflix because it's not, you're just stupefying yourself. And you're just getting through. Well, don't just get through. What do you want to do? Do it. You can do it. It's really easy. And
do you believe we all have a purpose?
I believe it.
No big deal.
I think we all have a purpose. Yeah, probably. But I just more think that you will shock yourself in what you can achieve. And it doesn't have to be an achievement that anyone else can see. But it's amazing how if you get through a few months of just, whether you feel like it or not, just doing these little things that you need to do. Like, I'll give it one little really simple example for me in my life is I just started doing this thing where I'd do 100 push-ups a day. And I do them 20 at a time. It's so easy to do. And like, I just do it. I have to do it sort of. And for me, I just do it rain, hail or shine. It's made me so much fitter. And I feel great from it. And it's like, why the hell didn't I do this ages ago? You know, and it's always available to you. If I was in a prison cell, I could be doing that. And you can have this little achievement in one area of your life that, you know, makes you feel great in that.
The other areas.
And then there's all these other little categories, and it's just tiny little things, but they add up to a whole life. You know, do that for 40 years and you'll be, you know, ripping.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been beautiful. Lots of fun. And have a great gig tonight, and let's chat again soon.
Thank you.